Welcome to Center Heist Productions. Please hit the likes and subscribe down below in your right hand corner. And as we said, we're in vacation mode, so we're kind of back and forth. Anyway, I promised I'd be going through each group, and as the video says, please hit the likes and subscribes, though, and trying to grow a community. This is where we don't run off a rumor. We are strictly promote running off of integrity of what we report and discuss. So that we tend to do. We're not a clickbait channel like some tend to do, and also promote gossip. You won't find that here. So as the title says, we are rating now. We did the defense in the previous video, Montreal's future in defense. Now we're doing the goaltending uh, for the present year coming up and our future. So that's going to be the case right now. So here we go. In the up and coming season, I do not see a change in net. We've seen the tandem of Montembeault and Primo. I think it will continue. We'll see that in the following season again, for sure. So that should, although I'm going to tell you, this is going to be an interesting year, even for those two, because I do think I think Montreal, how do I put it? They're steady enough. Um, they're passable in the net. Let's put it that way. Do I think either one of these goaltenders of the future? Not a chance. And sorry, two things I did see. I got to say, though, I will honestly say I've seen promising improvements in Primo's game. Now, I think Primo is really going to push Monty because Monty, to me, Primo improved his game. Monty kind of slipped a bit. So this is going to be an interesting year to see who ends up being number one, which is shocking. I didn't expect this, although it seemed like Primo got better control of his net crease and rebounds. He's still got one area that he's drastically, and we all know his glove hand is terrible. Terrible, terrible. That's where he's got to work on. But he's worked on a lot of the rest of it as long as he keeps up on it. That's the catch. But he's definitely, I'll tell you right now, this tandem, I don't know if Monty has much of an edge on Primo anymore because, like I said, it was easy to surpass Allen. Allen was always a backup for what Montreal brought him in for, and the age was catching up to him. So, of course, Monty could outlast in that regard, and even Primo could just be a younger option. So, with that being said, I think it's in okay shape. I don't think we're in phenomenal shape in the net presently. I think there are some things. One thing I did see, and I hope it changes, and I've seen it in all three goaltenders, even when Allen was here. All three of the goaltenders had a tendency to go down way too soon, and a lot of shots got fired above their shoulders. So that leads me to believe it's a coaching thing a bit. So I think what I'd like to see is the goaltending coaching, work on that tendency and break it because it's not going to be viable in the future. And where we got some really good potential goaltenders coming in the future, if this is going to be a continuation, this could be a problem. You look at, we even seen it in the final. I'll tell you, if it wasn't that the rest of the team in Florida was so hot, Bobberov showed weaknesses up top too, and Edmonton easily could have taken that series if it wasn't for the rest of the group in front of Bobberov being sold out and bought into blocking shots. That made a difference. But we've seen some holes in goal, and it seems to be a trend in today's NHL. Goaltenders are going down way too soon. Instead of waiting to let the player make the move, then make your move. I think their patience has got to be worked on, but it's just for me in Montreal. Since this is the team I report on, I noticed it in all three goaltenders. So it's not a knock against the goalie coach, but it is a concern. I'd like to see it rectified. Um, that this season they work on both goaltenders showed signs of going down far too soon. A lot of goals beat them high. So let's hope that's not going to be an ongoing issue. Because if it is, then this might be an indication that when the arrival of promising goaltenders who we believe will carry Montreal in the future, then you might have to make a move at that point to change if that's going to be a continuation, because we want our goaltenders at their strongest point and being very intelligent. So at this point, I'm going to say it's going to be a respectable duo. They played all right last season. I do think Primo's going to push Monty, because I don't think Monty's what we yes, he had the motivation to, when Allen was there, and brought it up to outplaying Allen. However, he doesn't have Allen there anymore. Now he's got a young goaltender in Primo. Now Primo has a few more issues, but I'll tell you what, Monty has some issues of his own. Um, as well. And I don't know if he got too comfortable when Allen left, and that's why he had a little more difficult of a season. And he, to me, slid down a little bit, because I thought he was way ahead of Primo before that. But they're almost neck and neck now. So there's going to have to be an improvement in both of these guys' game, and we'll see who wins the number. I know right now, as it stands, Monty's the starter. But will he be? Because I'll tell you what, Primo's going to push him. And can Primo be a backup in the NHL? He's looking like he possibly could be a backup. I don't think he's starter material. I honestly don't think, even though we're using Monty as a starter, but either one of these goaltenders in my book are not actual starters. They should be backups. We're just in a little weaker position right now, and don't have to worry about it where we got some starters in um, possible star goaltenders coming up for the future to ride on. So now that being said, that's how I see us for the following season. So to me, the goaltending is kind of C minus. That's my books. I think we're just we have two backup goaltenders in my opinion. I really believe that, and I'm not that. Like I say, though, I give a lot of credit to Primo, because I've slammed him a lot prior to last season, and he sure brought up his game to at least the rest of it coming. He's just got to work on that, make that glove NHL capable, because teams know he can't catch a puck. So, and even his blocker's not that great, but I think Monty's got some slight weaknesses there himself. But anyway, I think Monty got a little too comfortable. So we're going to see what the two of them can do this year. So it should be an okay year, but it's clear as day. These are not our future goaltenders, not at least starters. All right, so now we go on to the rest of the boys, and this gets interesting because, in my opinion, I'm really eyeballing Fowler and Volchenko. And I think these are the two to really watch. That's my opinion. I got a feeling this could be the 1-2 punch Montreal brings in. They're going to be the two that win it in my books. And I don't know for sure, even though we've got a lot of praise being given to Fowler. Be careful, because you can't outrule um, the Russian netminder. Because if you have noticed, and it's been a trend in the NHL of late, the Russians seem to have done a better job than anybody in the net. All the main stars seem to be Russian. So that's something to keep an eyeball on. So I don't know in the future. I know that it's Fowler, and that we put a lot of emphasis on. He'll be involved for sure, but it's going to be him or Bolokin in my books, and one will be the backup to the other, I believe. Uh, Now we get to that. So that's what I think Montreal's tandem will be when they're ready to win. Now, in saying that, we got a lot of goaltenders now in the system. Now, there's going to be a couple I didn't even bring. to the video just because they're kind of sitting on the outside, not much talk. We're talking about goalies in discussion now. Now we're going to talk about Dobish, and I would never, ever, if I was the Habs, bet against him. I wouldn't, or anybody bet against him because what he did last year in Laval and the improvements after that shaky first start off when they got him a good veteran backup, the difference in his game, and he took all that heat and all those games, played a lot of games. The improvement in Dobish was incredible. So I wouldn't bet against this guy. He's got an outside chance. I think maybe he jumps into a role and takes one of the two present out of their position, and then when the other two goalies that we believe are the future come, then maybe he could end up being the backup himself. Who knows, right? But I do think it all depends on how they fall in sync. But I do think Dovish is something somebody where they got to be looking at because I think he could be a filler before the two that I think will be our final choices. But I wouldn't bet against him, not for the improvement that he made sitting in Laval. Now we come to Quentin Miller, and I wouldn't even have put Quentin's name up here until I heard the confidence I heard in this kid and how he believes he can compete against the best young goalies Montreal has. That's confidence that I like. He wasn't in my. I didn't like. I wasn't all that keen on what I was seeing originally. But when I see that type of confidence, this could be another kid on the side that we maybe don't bet against him. With that type of confidence, that might be just the drive to see the drive to do the three goaltenders that were just mentioned, of the future. That could be the drive that pushes them. So keep an eye on him. Then we got the Hags that was gotten this year. I kind of mentioned putting him in there too because he seems to have an all right um, outlook, but he's a long ways off. Now we do have a couple other goaltenders, one being a French kid, and I'm sure there's one or two more. I didn't mention them because not much emphasis was being put on them in the rating system, and we had enough. There was enough here that I wanted to just go with the main core guys that I believe will be battling over the future goaltending positions. I do believe Dobish could push one of Montembeault or Primo out. In the meantime, sort of one of them he outplays them at some point for what he did in Laval. One of them that Montreal's forced to make a move and make a trade with and move them out. And then he'll be there maybe a season or two, and then Fowler and Wolokin are ready. And then you see what the battle's going to turn into. In my opinion, I do not believe Montembeault nor Primo will be there. Now, I'm going to give, which is shocking, I'm going to give Primo a little edge just because he's younger. I think he's got a better chance of still pushing his ceiling up, especially if he can deal with getting his glove and blocker improved. Uh, so I will give him a credit. I will say that he could be a backup. I think Monty will be done once one or two guys come up and the push is pushed out, unless Primo does not improve any farther and challenge Monty, right? So that's also something to be seen. We'll see if that was just a flash in a pan season for Primo, where he did much better. We'll see. Um, I'm giving him credit where credit is due. So, again, that's how I see Montreal. Promising future in the net. We've got so many guys to look at. I don't mind having the problem we have. We've got a lot of guys waiting in the wings and the juniors that anybody could come out of it. And I know we emphasize on Fowler, and I love Fowler too, but I am really watching Volokin as well. Only because he's broken some records, and some of the mentions have been that he's better than Shesterkin in overseas mentions from the Russian hockey world. So that if that being the case, we better be Little level-headed. This could be a two-way battle because the Russians have owned the goaltending of late. If you look at the stars, Shesterkin, Vasilevsky, Bobrov, um, uh, Askarov. You think of it, there's just far too many of them that are that good. And even Samsonov and Georgiev. Just seems like there's an awful lot of Russian names there, but the elites are up there. And can't forget Shirokin. These are all elite goaltenders, other than Samsonov and Georgiev. They're kind of not elite, but they're average. But anyway, the others are the elite in the NHL. So that's why I give this Bolokin credit. It's going to be one or the other, and probably the second guy will be backing up, or second guy gets traded because he wants to be a starter too. And then you get someone like Dobish being the backup. So that's how I see a very bright goaltending situation in Montreal. We got enough goaltenders in the system. There's even a few guys I didn't even make mention of because they weren't getting the eye the way the scouts were getting. The eye was being grabbed of the scouts with these players that I've mentioned. So that being said, looks like a promising future for when the Habs are ready. But don't kid ourselves. If we think for 1 minute this team's ready this year, there's not a chance. Um, we we got a lot of issues still, and it's going to be an interesting year. But our goaltending is average, and I think you got two backup goaltenders that are going to be battling it out. And that's my opinion. I do not see, in my opinion, either one of them, especially Monty. He's a little older, and I don't see enough from him to think that he is going to outbeat the rest of the guys coming up. I just don't see it. There's too many nights where um, he's very suspect himself. So I don't even know if he can hold the fort with Primo at this point in time. That'd be the best. We'll see. This is going to be a very interesting year, but I just think our goaltending has a long ways to come. And thank God there's a lot of great prospects coming. So with that being said, who at this season? This season doesn't matter. I know the Habs push that they want to be fighting for a playoff spot. Come on now, if we're real, we're just coming at the end of the third year of the rebuild. You still got 2 years realistically left before you're going to come into that picture of being a threat. I don't see us there. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Leave your comments and your opinions, what you think. Be respectful. That's all we ask. And again, try to stick to the news if you want realistic write ups, not a bunch of hogwash or clickbait. And that's my recommendation for hockey fans. Stick to channels that'll give you that. And that's where I sit with that. And we will do the offense, will be the final tape of the series to rate where they will stand. And it's probably the weakest point, to tell you the truth, right now. We've got one real super line. Line two is question marks. I'm totally baffled with some of the lineups I've heard. Some of the so-called scouts or whatever, or whoever they are, radio reporters, insiders, whatever, rank the lines. Some of the lines I've seen coming out of some of these sources are just right out ludicrous through the back window. So it's going to be fun to come and approach you on the offense because I do not see it as the way they're promoting it. It looked very lazily done to me. So thank you for joining me here. You've seen it here first at Center Heights Productions, and we will catch you in the next one. God bless.